We all love to drool over American or Italian or Japanese or insert country here made bikes because they aren't just forms of transportation that keep us happy and healthy. They're works of art. But when is an Italian track bike really an Italian track bike? Is it still Italian if it's designed in Italy, made out of Italian-made tubes, but put together in China? What if the tubes are made in China instead? How Italian is it then? Is it still Italian because the factory put stickers with Italian words on it? At best, I would consider that Italian bike 33% Italian, but people who buy those Italian bikes would say they're Italian because they paid Italian prices for them. Or what about the Wabi Lightning, which was designed by an American, constructed out of Italian-made tubing by this guy in Taiwan? Isn't the Wabi Lightning more Italian than those Italian bikes because the actual tubes and things that you can touch that it's made out of or made in Italy? Or what about the Squid Very Hard or the Milwaukee Track Bike, which are both designed by Americans in America, made with American steel by Americans in America? Are those bikes American? As much as we like to do it in the globalized world that we live in, it's really hard to pin down where a bike is made because the reality is they're made all over the place, except when they're absolutely made in a country. Does a bike's country of origin even matter when it comes to quality? What about the more romantic feelings of a bike as pieces of art? What about other things that most people don't even think about? Yes, it matters. It absolutely matters. Speaking of things that matter, this portion of the video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. I'm not riding my Wabi right now because I'm reviewing another bike, but this is hands down the nicest bike that I've ever ridden. It's made in Taiwan, and I'll talk about why that's important too. Stick around till the end of the video to learn more about them. The truth of the matter is that high quality bikes can be made anywhere, whether it's handmade in the USA like this early 2000s Cannondale, or made in Taiwan like this Giant, or made in Taiwan like this All City, or made in Taiwan like this Wabi, or made in Taiwan like this Tyrant. At the end of the day, a quality bike is a quality bike no matter where it's from. And people tend to overgeneralize and say affordable bikes that are still good are made in Taiwan. Cheap, poorly built bikes are made in China. Or made in the USA bikes are the bikes that dreams are made of, but the reality is a lot more complicated than that. While a bike's country of origin is important and it can be a good rule of thumb to guess at the quality of the bike, it doesn't equal quality. Taiwan is generally known to be the world's bike factory, and everything else factory for that matter. But as you can see in the shot here, 4 out of the 5 bikes here, all of different brands, are made in Taiwan. Taiwan bikes are famous for being good for your money. If you want a high quality bike at an affordable price, you get a Taiwan made bike. But just like everywhere else, there's different people doing different levels of quality of work in Taiwan. I know a local Sacramento rider that used to ride a made in Sacramento frame set, but just because it's made in the USA doesn't mean it's good. That bike had problems repeatedly with tubes and lugs cracking because the brazier didn't do a good job. And now he rides a Japanese-made NJS bike. Brazing is brazing. The molecules don't care what country they're in or what language the guy with the torch speaks. Just because a bike is expensive and made in a particular country doesn't automatically make it good. It could just mean that the company is making a ton of money off of that bike. And just because a bike is affordable and made in Asia doesn't automatically mean that the bike is bad. It's just that when bikes are like suspiciously cheap, you have to wonder who's getting the short end of the stick here, because there's no such thing as free lunch. Either you're getting the short end of the stick, and me, or the environment, or the people who are making those things. Are the factories sweatshops where workers have 16-hour workdays and make 73 cents an hour? Are they dumping their toxic waste into the river out back? I don't know, dude, because they won't tell me. Because everything goes into the cost of the bike that we're paying for it, even the things that we're not thinking about. These are special edition, limited run, special Wabi specials because they have chrome lugs. And the reason you don't see a lot of chrome lugs anymore on bikes is because, number one, a lot of bike manufacturers have moved over from lugs to TIG welding because it takes much less time to put together, making it much more labor and cost effective. And number two, at least in Taiwan, I can't comment on other countries where bikes are produced, the way that many companies were getting chrome lugs was very environmentally unsafe. And Taiwan, at least, passed laws that said, hey, don't do that environmental destroying way to chrome stuff anymore. If you want to chrome it, now you gotta polish the lugs by hand. And that's what Wabi's factory in Taiwan did with these, which is why they were such a big pain in the butt and why they cost so much more. There's always costs that we're not thinking about, whether it's shipping or labor or environment or supply. And if those hidden costs of a bike are important to you, then the country of origin should be important to you, and even the factory of origin should be important to you. With Wabi, you're good. Call me an idealist. I studied marketing in college. This YouTube channel is my business. And the way that I see business should work is that it should benefit everybody. And if that is something that's important to you, it's your job and it's my job to be really discerning about where our money is going when we are buying our bikes. But if you're the type of shopper that just wants to get the best bike for your money, every extraneous detail be damned, usually the best quality for the price is going to be made in Taiwan bikes. You can get a really super nice Taiwan-made frame set for around $600 to $1,000, which would be the point of diminishing returns in my eyes. Like, you could technically get something nicer for twice the price, but it's not going to be twice as nice. Getting a quality bike for your money is extremely important, but it's not the only important thing when it comes to buying a bike, especially if you absolutely love bikes. I absolutely love my Wabi Special. This is my favorite bike ever. But even then, I'm considering building up a custom frame set just because there are some things that I want that Wabi doesn't do. Unless Wabi, you want to like collaborate and do something cool. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There are intangible qualities when it comes to buying a bike that are equally as important as the bike itself. Like, bikes are equal parts a functional tool and also a work of art. For instance, I used to ride Andel cranks, which are made in Taiwan. They are probably the best riding cranks for the money. They ride legitimately just as nicely as Sugino 75s. I couldn't tell you which one I was riding if I didn't look down at them. But they aren't as pretty, and I ended up eventually upgrading to Sugino 75s in the end, just because they make me go, ooh, now that's nice. I'm probably gonna keep these 75s forever. For some people, a bike is a bike, and for those people, I kind of envy you. But for other people, a bike, it's a work of art. When you have a beautiful bike, it inspires you to ride it more. It inspires you to ride faster, to ride farther, to be a better rider, and that's what cycling is all about. When you buy a bike, you're also supporting people's jobs, people's livelihoods. When you buy an American bike, you're supporting American jobs. When you buy a Taiwan-made bike, you're supporting Taiwanese jobs. When you buy an Italian bike, you're supporting Italian jobs. And when you buy a Chinese bike, you're supporting Chinese jobs, and by extension, the Chinese government, which is a whole can of worms that I'm not going to open. And knowing where my money is going and what it's doing when it gets there is extremely important to me because I'm self-employed. I don't make a ton of money, so every dollar that I spend is precious to me. That came from the sweat of my brow of hunching over and editing a ton of videos. Just how every one of you watching my videos supports me and my life and my livelihood of being a fixed gear bike YouTuber, as specific and dumb as that sounds, I'm extremely thankful for you to watching my videos. And it's the same thing when I look at a bike. I know that there's somebody out there who's just trying to make it, doing what they love doing. Nobody gets into the bike industry because they want to make a ton of money. They get into it because they love doing it. And that's what I saw when I visited the Wabi Cycles factory and saw my Wabi Special being made. Everybody there was extremely passionate about the work they were doing, was extremely patient with me, was showing me every step of the process, every single thing they were doing, why it was important, and asked all of my questions, which was slowing down their whole factory line when they really didn't have to. They even went out of their way to show me the best angles to point my camera to see specific jobs being done. It was really amazing, and those are the people that I want to support. It's not just a bike. When I'm buying those Taiwanese-made components, or those American-made components, or this sponsorship from Wabi Cycles, I'm supporting those people that are just as excited about bikes as I am, and they do it because they love it. They're people just like me that want to make a living doing bike stuff. Taiwan is like my adopted home. I've spent 2 entire years of my short 27-year life there, and I love it there. Whenever I go back to Taiwan, I get that sense of like, oh, I'm home, as weird as that sounds. I don't even speak the language, but I hope they accept me. My Taiwanese friend said I'm an honorary Taiwanese, so I'll take it. I have a ton of friends in Taiwan. My fiance is from Taiwan. My future in-laws are from Taiwan. One of my best friends, Hao, he owns a fixed gear shop in Taiwan, which is the only dedicated fixed gear shop in Taiwan, and one of the biggest fixed gear shops in Asia, if not the world. His shop sells a lot of Taiwanese brands and supports Taiwanese businesses. I feel good about supporting reasonable paying, good working condition blue-collar jobs in my fiance's home country so that they don't, excuse my language, become dependent on the teat of foreign-made goods like my country has, which is especially important considering that the future of Taiwan as a nation is, again, excuse my language, butt-puckeringly uncertain, to put it lightly. Again, that's a whole nother can of worms I'm not gonna open. When we buy bikes from your favorite country of choice, it symbolizes that it's still possible to make high-quality things with people that make a fair wage without poisoning the environment for future generations. It's important. Fixed gear riders like to deck out our bikes with made in the USA parts. Thompson stems and C-Post, Cane Creek headsets, Philwood, Paul, White Industries hubs, Arn chain rings, custom made in the USA frame sets, you name it. And you get more fixie points for your parts when you have that coveted made in the USA stamp on it, because we have a deep appreciation for American-made things, at least here in the US. When you hold a well-made, American-made bike part, you know it's special. Heck, my mom keeps this Cannondale F300 that's handmade in the USA around, even though she absolutely never rides it. And she can't explain why she keeps it around. She just likes it. It's something special. But when you hold it in your hands, you can feel that there's just something very unique about it. There's a very particular American design language that's very simple and reliable, robust, rugged, but still very sensibly designed and beautiful in its own right. If you'll excuse me for getting a little bit overly romantic, but you can feel the American spirit breathing in American-made bike parts. That's why fixed gear riders the world over covet Thompson C-Post, Philwood hubs, and Paul stems. They're truly special, and we American riders know that when we buy and ride these American-made components, that we're supporting American jobs and the American economy. It just makes you damn proud to be American. But gosh dang it, can one of these American companies please make a 26.0 clamp stem and handlebar so I don't have to go to Japanese companies to get what I want? I mean, it's fine. I'll give Japan money. My brother lives in Japan. It's not like he's getting the money, but I'll give them money. This is my first ever pair of custom wheels that I have splurged on. They cost like 1,100 bucks, but it's something that was important to me because I got a pair of Velocity A23s made in the United States because it's like they cost the same as H+N archetypes, which are made in China, and I tried archetypes and didn't like them. And I have them laced to some very tasty White Industries hubs made in Petaluma, California. The A23s are made in Michigan, where I lived for a season. I made some friends there, and some of those friends even ride with Velocity in Grand Rapids, Michigan on the regular. I want to support what they're doing and keep the manufacturing there and show that I like their stuff. And the hubs are made here in California, just an hour-and-a-half drive from where I live. On top of that, they are the best designed hubs for fixed gear that I have seen, with their splined cog, meaning no stripped hubs, because there's nothing to strip. Actually, just a better feature. And Andron, owner of my local bike shop, Velotrap, built the wheels for me by hand. He's a master wheel builder, and he makes a really superb wheel. Yeah, it costs more than something that's built by a machine in Asia, but it also means a lot more. Like, this wheel set represents so much to me. Velotrap is definitively the center of the fixed gear scene in the Sacramento area. I want them to keep existing, not just because of that, but because they're also one of the coolest spots in downtown, midtown Sacramento, and one of my favorite spots to hang out. They support me, They help me make videos. I support them. It's just good all around. That's how business should be. And once you start getting into the higher tiers of bike stuff, which is usually not made in China, you can start getting a lot of features that just don't exist elsewhere. For example, my previously mentioned White Industries hubs. No one else is doing that. Or also my Paul seat post, made in the USA. My requirements for a seat post were that it's black, it has enough setback for a Brooks saddle, 25 millimeters or more, and it's not ugly. This is the only thing that hits all those boxes. This is the only thing that exists that does that. Or even as much as I do love my Wabi Special, I am even considering getting a custom bike build because Wabi just doesn't have something that checks all the boxes that I want. They don't have a lugged fixed gear frame set that can fit 45 millimeter tires plus full fenders. I'd have to go custom. And when you go custom and go local, you can get exactly what you want. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You just can't get that deep of an appreciation for your bike when you buy from some cheap, faceless retailer online. Case in point, I made this criticism about the Aventon Matero 6 years ago. The frameset also takes a proprietary Aero carbon seat post. And for 99% of people, you're not going to notice any significant benefits. What you will notice though is that it looks different, but it adds a whole lot of inconvenience, since if you ever need to replace that seat post, you need to get the same one from Aventon, and I personally just don't like being pigeonholed into using one thing, especially when that one thing costs $150. And where is Aventon now? Aventon is an e-bike company. I actually know somebody that needed this replacement seat clamp from Aventon, and then they were just like, sorry, we don't make that anymore. That frame is trash now. There's that expression, they don't make things like they used to, because most things that we have available to us to buy are made to be cheap, disposable garbage, so that you have to buy it again, and so that the companies can make more money. It's stupid. When something is garbage, it makes it more of a pain to use the thing. Like, it's just not even fun. When I was riding the Walmart bike for a metric century, that's 100 kilometers, which is about 64 miles, every step of the way was pretty agonizing. And the entire time I was riding that bike, I was just thinking, the person who made this bike really didn't care, so why should I care about this bike? And I ended up dumping that bike at a park with a free bike sign. And who knows where that bike is now? I wouldn't be surprised if it was just rotting in a trash pile in a Sacramento homeless camp. Because that's where it belongs. American-made stuff is often the best of the best, except for American-made cars. Those can be pretty trash. But most of those are made in Mexico nowadays anyway. I can be confident that my American-made, Japanese-made, and even Taiwanese-made parts will last me for decades, if not the rest of my life. Just because a lot of thought went into them so that they give me a great riding experience. It just leaves me wanting nothing more. I am satisfied. And that's a good feeling. Especially in the fixed gear world, people have the tendency to buy and sell parts a lot. It's not uncommon to know a rider who has a new bike every single month. But when your bike is exactly what you want, and you have a deep appreciation for not just what the part is, but for where it comes from and also what it symbolizes, it makes all that buying and selling and trading unnecessary because you already have exactly what you want. And then we end up keeping these things for much longer. We save money because we're not buying and selling all the time, and we save time because we're not wasting precious minutes of our lives just scouring for the next best deal on a seat post or a stem. When we look past the price and care deeply about the things that we buy because we know that it's gonna last a long time and eventually it's going to pay for itself, we can just buy it once and forget about it. And then we can focus on the most important thing, which is just riding the dang bike. Fixie famous shoutouts to David K, Julian Corona, Brandon Black, Brent David, Mario Perez, Tanauchi, and Breakless.Illini for helping to make these fixed gear videos possible through their support on Patreon. And remember that life is short, but don't make it shorter, so be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.